Welcome to the VarsityKansas.com Big Show. I am Joanna Chadwick of the Wichita Eagle and VarsityKansas.com. We are taping here at KSN, and my guest today is West football coach Weston Schartz. Thanks for being here, Coach.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, it's good to have you here. I just, I had to basically tell him, you need to be on my show. It's all about karma. I have a good karma run here with people, with coaches who are on my show and then win the next week.
I hope you're correct. We need all the help we can get.
That's great. All right. Well, you're sitting at 4-2 right now. You head into district play this week. You've got Capon. How do you feel like your team is playing right now?
I think we're really playing well. We won our first 3 games, and we were excited about it, and then we ran into a real tough Carroll team, and we were actually ahead 10-0, and we ran out of gas, had a few injuries that hurt us, and then the next week we didn't play real well against Heights, but we felt we played a good half. We've felt like we've only had 2 bad quarters, and that was the second half versus Heights. We're excited. 4-2, who would ever thought it?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to toot my own horn or anything, but when I get something right, I get something right. I want to point it out. I picked you guys to go to the playoffs, and I think that is still going to happen. I think it's going to come down to you and Capon to be the 2 teams out of your district. But I just want to point out, I knew this team was going to be good. You guys are playing well, but you've had some injuries. Talk about those injuries and how you've adjusted and if those guys are coming back.
Well, we've had some big injuries. In the Carroll game, we lost 6 guys. We lost a defensive tackle, Mike Rios. We lost our quarterback, D.J. Jones, a young man by the last name of Barber, Eddie. And we lost a lot of kids that night. We just have to bounce back. Injuries are part of football. We've had some guys bounce back and play very well against Heights and then played well last week against North. But when we're full strength, I think we're as good as anybody in this area. And we're not full strength right now, but before the 8th and 9th week, we will be.
Well, and you mentioned the game against Carroll. I mean, that was a very close game, close loss to Carroll. And then you had, of course, the exciting win over East on a Hail Mary touchdown pass. When you came back to West, what is it that you were hoping to accomplish, and where do you think you are in meeting that goal?
It's funny you asked me that. The only thing, and this is going to sound corny, but it's the truth, the only thing that I wanted to accomplish is for those kids to feel proud about West High again. And Saturday, my wife and I went and got a donut over at Johnson's General Store, and 3 young ladies come walking out. They all had West High hoodies on. Coach, great win last night. And that's mission accomplished. Now, that sounds corny, but that's what we wanted. We wanted pride back in the neighborhood, wanted pride back in the school, and sure, we want to win every game. We're not going out to tie or lose, but we wanted to bring some pride back, and we think we've done that. We've had great crowds come to our game, a lot of people there, a lot of the old alumni are coming. That's all we wanted to do, and we're on the right track for that.
Well, I remember in 1997 when you guys played for the 6A title, and I spent most of the week leading into that game out at West High. And there was just such a excitement there, and it was so fun to see. I mean, you got a lot of love for that school. And that leads me to the question I get asked a lot, which is, why did you come back to West? You're at Northwest, and you came back. What brought you back?
It's home. When you're 24 years old and you get named the head football coach there, you raise your daughters there, your wife and yourself spend a lot of time there. I love the neighborhood. It feels comfortable. Now, I had 10 great years at Northwest. I believe we were 71-30 or something like that. It's a lot of wins. But West High is home to me. The community, the kids, the administration. It's just a fantastic place to be. If you've never been there, you don't realize what a great place that place is. And I actually love being there, and I hope this is my final stop in high school coaching.
Well, and you guys also bring in Coach Taylor. Carl Taylor is going to be coaching boys basketball this year. I mean, how much is that important, too, just the success of the sports programs into building that community?
Well, what's cool is Carl Taylor's #1 City League history in basketball. And to bring in a guy like him has been very exciting. We are attracting good coaches again. Coach Dagnall, Mr. Hudson, our principal, our assistant principals are amazing. The teachers at West are just fantastic. They're supportive. We're starting to get some people back. I have Corby Millison, who was a head coach at South, Brent Glenn, who was a head coach at Newton. I've had several ex-head coaches on my staff. Coach Glenn from Newton calls me and says, I'd like to coach at West with you. And I'm going, wow.
How do you turn that down?
Yeah,
right?
It's like Santa Claus brought me a gift. He's a fantastic coach, and Corby's been with me a long time. And then we've got some other guys on our staff that are West High graduates, and that helps.
That is always nice, too. Well, West High moves up to Class 6A for the 2014 and 2015 seasons. How do you feel about being down in 5A and now moving back up to 6A?
I want to play it in the 6A level. Number one, you get to play the schools that are similar to yours. Now, this is going to sound crazy, but when you're 5A, you're playing Andover Central, Capon, and Arc City. Now, we're not afraid of those schools. We'll play them anytime, anywhere, but they have some advantages. They have youth football that comes into them. They start out in 7th and 8th grade or whatever, and they grow up in the system. I've did a little study over the last 30 years of my coaching, and we've done very well against teams that have the similar hand that we've been dealt, and that's no middle school football and that. We've won about 73%, 74% of our games. Out of that realm, we don't do very good. So I'm glad to be back in 6A so we can play those schools.
Well, let me just ask that question, too. It's not something that we talked about at all, but I talked about this on Sports Daily with Bob Lutz on the radio, and the question came up about middle school football. It will never happen in the City League unless I win the lottery and decide to give millions to USC 259. I don't think either's going to happen. My question to you, though, is what can be done with Little League football? I mean, can somehow we get back to where you go back to your districts, where the coaches meet with those coaches and say, hey, here's what we run for these kids who are going to go to West High, to Northwest, to Heights, to East, so that they are running that system, sort of like what they do in the middle school programs in smaller towns.
It's where it used to be. When Wichita was busting out state champ after state champ after state champ in football, it's because we were assigned a team that we had to play on. I played for the Panthers. We practiced at Southeast High School. We knew we were going to Southeast. There was 5 teams. If you did not live in that district, you didn't play for them. So you knew where you were going to school. And almost every high school had their own team. East High had a team, Heights had a team, Northwest had a team, and you had to play for that team, regardless where you live. Now these kids are playing all over the place, and you never know who you're going to get. You never know which guys are in your district or who's moving where, and it's hurt us, with the exception of Heights. They were able to win that state championship without that, and then they had some pretty good talent. You got to have talent to win. But I think it's killed us, and that was taken away about 13 or 14 years ago, maybe a little longer than that. I think there's a direct correlation.
I think that's too bad, too. I would love to see that change, and I think it could be changed. But unfortunately, we have a lot of coaches who are running their own thing then, whereas if we kind of get something, where they're all doing the same thing or doing the same thing that high school coach is doing, I think it'll make a difference.
No doubt.
Coach, thanks so much for being here, and good luck to you on Friday night.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I don't know if you missed me or not last week. I did not have a VarsityKansas.com Big Show, and if you didn't miss me, I am hurt. But I was on furlough last week, couldn't tweet about the job, couldn't do any work, and it was crazy because I know I missed a lot of good stuff last week, so thanks for coming back this week. We had a huge game between the unbeaten Bishop Carroll and Capon football teams on Friday night. I actually went there with my family and some family friends and sat there and watched it. Now, I feel like I need to explain here. I had Capon number 1 in that game, and I had Carroll number 2 in the rankings. I moved Capon ahead of Carroll, and I know I got a lot of questions. Bob Lutz, I think he even brought into question my intelligence after 17 years. But I firmly believe that if you were to look at the previous 2 weeks and how Capon was playing, that defensive line was so strong, and I just felt like Carroll was out of sorts. They were turning the ball over so much. Coach Shuckman pulled out his entire first string to put in his second string against Northwest, and they eked out a win there. Whereas Capon they were dominating, might be a little bit strong, but they were playing really well. And I thought that the streak would end. The losing streak to Carroll would end there. I was wrong, and props to Carroll for that. Carroll, they looked great against Capon. Their defensive line looked better than Capon's. Their offense was clicking, and there was one point, and I actually mentioned it on Twitter today, that I just decided I don't know if I can ever pick against Carroll again when it comes to Capon. When the ball, Keaton Mans goes to throw a pass, and it kind of flutters off his fingers, just a terrible pass. He catches it and runs for a first down. At that point, I'm thinking to myself, forget ever picking against Carroll in this matchup because things just went their way. So congratulations to them, and Carroll has now won 19 straight games. Pretty impressive. Derby ended its streak of losses to Hutchinson. They had lost 5 straight to Hutch, and that's a big win for them. I think that Derby is playing really well, and that to me is a mental victory, even maybe more so than a win in the win-loss column, simply because they have had so many tight losses to Hutch, and that was a good win for them. Jeremy Dunham is just running the offense so well there. DeAndre Goolsby, check out the story that Tony Adame did on him. You can see it at VarsityKansas.com, and it was in our 8-page high school football section on Saturday. How about May South? May South goes and beats Collegiate. May South, which lost to Eisenhower 3-0 in week 2, is playing superbly, and that was a good win over Collegiate. Garden Plain on the flip side is struggling. They've lost 3 straight, losing to Trinity, Cheney, and Conway Springs. Can they get it turned around in time for the playoffs? It'll be interesting to see that. And looking at this week, we've got state girls tennis on Friday and Saturday across the state. I will be out there covering Class 3-2-1A in Pratt. Regional golf is today. We're taping here at KSN on October 14th. State golf is October 21st. I'll be in the lovely city of Garden City on October 21st covering 2 state championship golf. All right, district football gets going this week for Class 6A, 5A, 4A, and 3A. Of course, 2 1A and 8-man have been going now for a few weeks. The biggest game to me has got to be Andale at Buhler. They're both unbeaten. They're ranked 2nd and 3rd in Class 4A. It's a great first-round district matchup. Of course, the luster is a teeny tiny bit off simply because 2 teams come out of every district, but it's a huge one. You win this game, and it's really got to put you in a good position. I like both these teams and what they can do offensively. I think they both have strong athletic quarterbacks, Jared Smarsh for Andale and Jace Williams for Buhler, and the running game. They love to run the ball. Even with Buhler possibly having Riley Allen out or as a game-time decision, Denton Branscombe has been doing really well for them. And, of course, Hunter Knobloch from Andale, he's just playing well. We also have Capon playing host to Wichita West, and I think that's the other big game in the area for district play. I say these 2 teams will make it out of their district and into the 5A playoffs. That is it from here for the VarsityKansas.com Big Show. I appreciate you joining me. Of course, check me out on my live chat on Wednesday from 1:30 to 2:30 at VarsityKansas.com. And make sure you get that Wichita Eagle on Saturday for the 8-page high school football section. It is beautiful. Take care, and we'll have a good week.